50 million. My feet sometimes get tired on this road, but I'm not going to keep walking. The road to 50 million is long. Sometimes I'm lost, but my goal is never very far away. And there's always an invitation to move further. I don't know if you saw that one, but a few days ago, I did an episode called Invitation. And I'd invite you, invitation, invite. I'd invite you to go back and take a look at that one. What that was it's a little bit of conversation and then a song titled Invitation. And it's the invitation that stands always ready in our lives. You know, this whole road to 50 million thing is just something I'm doing because I can, because I want to, because love is the engine and the candle, like that one right there, the candle in me never goes out. The candle never goes out. Now, it could be because of the experiences I've had. It could be because of the extraordinary things that have happened. It could be because of the mistakes that I've made. It could be because of the pain that I've had. I'm sure you have the same, and you have a pile of that too. So, what is the invitation? Well, the song Invitation, and again, if you haven't seen it, go back a few episodes and watch. The song Invitation is about when I died, and it's not about the near death part, but when I came to and I was in a coma for another 17 minus 3, 14 days, I had so many needles in me. I had so many needles in me that they were no longer able to find places to put needles. And so they had strapped a block of wood, or it looked like wood, maybe it was plastic, a wood block there to tape the needles to hold them so they wouldn't, rub against the skin and stuff like that. And pretty soon they had to take the block off and then switch arms. And pretty soon they couldn't find any place to put them because my veins had all collapsed and, on and on. And that's, of course, after I had died earlier. But anyway, so that song talks about the first line is baby. And I'm talking to my wife, Joy, baby, they took the needles out of me. I remember when they took the needles out of me. And a lot of things happened, and I'm not going to retell the story because it's in that video about how I could see. And I wasn't blind anymore, either physically or metaphorically. And I had come out of the coma. My life had been spared, or I had made a choice to stay here. So after that, I have been full of fire. Well, I was full of fire before, but not like after. That lit a fire in me that never goes out, no matter what happens. Things happen that are harder than I wanted, that are sadder than I wanted, that are struggles, that are painful. And the fire never goes out. I had an experience a couple of weeks ago that was very difficult. It caused me some deep reflection on mistakes and sadnesses and pain and abuse and struggle and violence and negativity from my past. And it was heartbreaking. It literally caused me to sit here at this desk and weep, crumble and weep about different things. And then, because of the fire, because of remembering the invitation that I had and that I have, I was able to stand up and we're going to go forward and clean it up, not ignore it, clean it up and empty out my heart. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about half-baked. Now, before we dive right into half-baked, I want to remind you what the road to 50 million is about. I'm on a road. That road has only one destination, and it's 50 million. And what 50 million? What 50 million people? You. I've committed to help 50 million people just exactly like you, and including you, to discover your divine gifts, to admit that you have them, to discover them, to then lean into and develop them, and then to serve with those gifts, to lovingly serve. Because what I know for sure from my near-death experience or from dying is that you are a divine being. You are crafted by a loving God, universe, higher self, call it whatever you like. I'm sure that God is not offended by what name we call him. So you and I are each crafted intentionally and carefully and lovingly. I know that in a way that I certainly never knew it before. Since that's true, that means we come from an infinite and eternal place. That means that each of us have infinite and eternal possibilities. Eternal meaning forever and ever. We all have a sense that when we leave this place, we're not going nowhere. We know that in our hearts. had a touching, deep, and meaningful conversation with a client earlier today, and it was about a relative of theirs who's ill and perhaps, going toward the end of life or perhaps very near. And it caused us both to reflect on the realities of death, the realities of it isn't really death, but it's just going somewhere else. I think one of the poets said it's as if someone were in another room. It really is like that. I remember very clearly when my father passed away. I got the news. My mom called me, and it was just a few days after Father's Day. And I remember being completely at peace. I remember then going to the funeral, and I was one of the speakers, one of his kids, and I saw his picture. And we didn't have a lot of pictures in our family, so it was kind of an ad hoc picture taken, whenever, not a posed picture at all. And the face, I saw it, I saw his face, and I knew it, and I knew him, and I knew I would see him again. Not in some wistful way, but that inner certainty. So we know when we're truthful with ourselves that we are divine beings. We also know we came here with gifts and talents. We also know that we're happiest when we're loving and serving each other, when we're not bewitched or dragged down by the idea that money is everything and that we got to have more of something than somebody else, and we got to have all the latest and greatest of everything, and we got to have this and we got to have that. And when we don't get seduced by, movies and books and television programs that make it seem like if you don't have this or that, you're nothing. You are a divine being, and your best expression of yourself is what we need. The most authentic, powerful, clear version of you. That's what the world needs. That's what the people next to you need. That's what you need. We each need, if we want to be happy, if we want to make a difference, to be the highest version of ourselves. And that means constant work, just like any athlete. An athlete works and works, and they get to the highest games. The World Cup's going on right now, right? And you see those fellas out there running around doing crazy stuff. I saw a goal the other day, yesterday or the day before, where, oh my word, somebody sacrificed his body and run right into somebody, scored the goal, but now he's in the hospital and iffy for the game on Saturday. And so, that kind of effort and energy. And so what that does is it gets us to a pinnacle. It gets us to a pinnacle of performance, a pinnacle of being there, a pinnacle of doing something well. Well, once someone has reached excellence, we're never again satisfied with mediocrity. Mediocrity just becomes distasteful, right? It becomes like, we aren't happy with it. I'm not talking about somebody judging. Once you have risen to the level of excellence, it calls to us all. And that's why I wanted to talk about half-baked today. We've all had something that was half-baked. Now, as I was writing the post to this, I thought about cookies, right? When I was a kid, one of the favorite things that I would love to have is a bite of cookie dough, right? Instead of making a cookie, like a half or a whole cookie's worth, just to have that cookie dough. And it almost didn't matter what kind of cookie, right? Snickerdoodles, oatmeal raisin, chocolate chip, anything, right? The cookie dough was so good. Well, that was unbaked. And a half-baked cookie is one that's, still a little doughy in the middle. But if the cookie dough is good, that's like, yeah. But there aren't very many things that are really good half-baked. Have you ever had a half-baked golf shot and then just been happy? Have you ever have you ever had a half-baked presentation at work where you get asked questions and you're stammering and stuttering and then you just goes downhill from there? Have you ever had a half-baked conversation where you get frustrated and you think you know what you're doing and then you get in the middle and realize that you are on shaky ground? All those things are familiar to all of us. We've all done it, and we all know how awkward and clumsy that feels. Well, what about life? One of the things I used to do is I used to start every day half-baked. Half-baked. And what I mean by that is I would get up, and there was a time in my life when I had to commute via airplane, a short plane ride. And so I would get up, barely shower, barely get to the airport. I knew all the shortcuts, even in the airport, how to get the little hallway. I could take cuts here and get in there. And then I would sleep on the plane for the 45-minute flight. And it got to be such a regular thing that some of the flight attendants knew I was sleeping. When I sat in the exit row, they wouldn't let me go to sleep because they knew I always did, right? So they stood there watching. Anyway, and I don't know if that was the rules or that was just them not wanting me to sleep. I can't imagine why that was. But my day was half baked. I didn't get enough sleep. Other stuff was going on in my life that was a disaster. And so I had to finish sleeping on the airplane on the 35 or 40-minute flight. And then in the cab ride from the airport to the place I was going, I tried to get another 15, 20 minutes because I hadn't had enough sleep. My life was a mess. And I started every single day half baked. And then I would rush in the office and do what I did, needed to do to catch up. And once in a while there was a meeting first thing. And so I would, try to do that. You know what? It doesn't matter if I got away with it or not. What matters is that was mediocrity. I can only imagine what I could have done in that position if I'd been fully baked, right? If I'd been prepared. Do you start your day half baked? I sure know what that's like. I did that for a couple of years with that particular spot. Today, I don't do that anymore. Today, I get prepared every day. And I've talked in another video about the morning creation process. But whatever your choice is for preparation, I want you to think and just assess for yourself, do you start your day half-baked? Do you start your conversations half-baked? Do you start relationship work with someone, whether it's a business relationship or a partner relationship or a conversation with one of your kids or one of your parents? Do you start them half-baked? Because that almost never goes well. Intentional preparation will give you more happiness. It'll give you more success. It'll make you feel better. And you know what else it shows? It shows that I care enough, or you do, about the person and the situation to be my complete and prepared self. There's a saying that's, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I used to argue with that. I used to think, well, if I do a half-baked job with this or that, it doesn't matter. But for these things, I'll be really prepared. And the more I live and the more experience I have, and certainly the more coaching clients I work with, I've learned that it is really true. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And making excuses for lack of preparation, making excuses about why something half-baked is okay, are just that. It's excuses why half-baked is okay. If you choose to live at a place of preparation and personal excellence, I know for sure from my own experience, from having done both ways, I'm way happier. I feel more confident, more capable, and more present, and more able to serve and do what I came to do. So what do I mean by preparation? Well, I'm going to do a series of videos over the next, I don't know that I'll start tomorrow, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the daily creation process. I did a video called Self-Creation, and one short live like this, 15 minutes or something, isn't even enough to begin to explain it, explore it, or to suggest some ways to do it. Now, everyone's heard of a morning ritual. There's books out called The 5 a.m. Miracle and Atomic Habits and all kinds of other books that talk about preparation rituals. What I'd like you to do, and what I'm going to invite you to do in terms of discovering and serving with your divine gifts, is ask yourself this question. If you prepared yourself, however you want to, fully every day, so that you were spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally prepared for your first engagement, appointment, conversation, what difference would that make in your day? I don't know about you because I'm not able to be with you right this minute, but I know it has made all the difference. It has created days that are astounding. It has given me not just once or twice, day after day after day, where no matter what happens, no matter if things go well or things just suck, I feel empowered. Nothing knocks me off my game. Even when things are terrible, I'm right I'm right there. Now, if I go back to the World Cup, I want you to think about teams at that level, whether you do soccer or not, doesn't matter. When teams get to the professional highest level championship, World Series, Super Bowl, World Cup, right? Grand Slam events in tennis, you can really see the difference between players that are fully prepared and don't get knocked off their game by an event, a bad turn of luck, or anything like that, and the players that aren't that way. You can see the difference in someone in business or in life who is fully prepared and confident in themselves about who they are, especially when rough things happen. So that's what I want you to think about. Do you live your life half baked? And if you do, wouldn't you be better served to fully bake yourself every day? And we'll talk more about what that means in future conversations. Right now, I want to invite you to participate in my road to 50 million. My road to 50 million is going to be long. It's going to be uncertain. I started October 14th, which is now 6 weeks ago. I'm committed to reach 50 million people. I would like your help. If you think you can help me in my job, my work, my commitment is to help 50 million people to discover and to serve with the gifts that they have. Now, that might include for some, making money, making a business, making products, and all the stuff that you hear about online. That's all possible. But it starts with a commitment to discover and serve with your gifts. That's where it starts. The how to do it, mechanics of courses or books or marketing or everything, those are well known and those mechanics are available. What is individual in every circumstance is a commitment. So I want to invite you to help me. If there's a way you can help me, share this video. Invite someone to watch this series. If you are already living the kind of life where you're enjoying and loving every day, I'd love to hear from you. Give me a comment, send me a message, because I have a podcast where we talk about living your ultimate life and how you got there and hearing the stories of change and choice and becoming and all that. So I'd love to talk to you about that. If you think you can help me, I want to hear from you. If you have a story, I want to hear from you. And if there's a way I can help you to live your ultimate life, a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, to discover your gifts and live every day happy, then I'd love to hear from you for that reason too. Thank you. I honor you for every piece of good that you're doing. We'll see you tomorrow.